Vice President, who administered oath to newly elected MPs in the morning, submitted his resignation that very night. No warning, no final address, just a letter and an exit. The official reason cited is health, but the inside story is slightly different. That is something that we are now going to reveal to our viewers. There was much more, viewers, brewing behind the scenes. In the moments from now, we will break the inside details and lay out the sequence that led to Jagdeep Dhankhar's stunning and sudden resignation. So let's dive straight into this big exclusive news break that we have for you. As per sources, viewers, yesterday in the morning, Vice President and Rajya Sabha Chair Jagdeep Dhankhar administered the oath to newly elected and nominated Rajya Sabha members. And viewers, hours later, he announced from the chair that he had received a letter signed by opposition MPs seeking the impeachment of Justice Yashwant Verma. He said he was placing the document for his consideration. That's the big news that we are breaking for you, the curious case of the resignation of Vice President of India, Jagdeep Dhankhar. And viewers, there's clearly more than what meets the eye. And this is what we are going to reveal to our viewers. First, an exclusive inside story, in fact, as to what really happened, the sequence of events that eventually led to Jagdeep Dhankhar, the Vice President of India, actually resigning. And this is what we've learned from sources. Now, he administered oath to newly elected and nominated Rajya Sabha members in the morning. He accepted the impeachment motion letter that was signed by the opposition MPs. And then this happened in the afternoon. Then impeachment motion was accepted, with viewers, without taking the government into confidence. Now, make a note of this particular point that we have put out. Without taking government into confidence, and that's where things started getting awry. Then he called the second Business Advisory Committee meeting in one day. Two Business Advisory Committee meetings in just one day. And what we have learned from sources is that the Parliamentary Affairs Minister, Kiran Rijiju, and the Leader of the House in the Rajya Sabha, that is JP Nadda, they were not consulted. Opposition MPs attended the BAC meeting. However, the BJP MPs decided to skip that particular meeting. This is what we've learned from our sources. Now, viewers, the last straw was VP, the Vice President of India, scheduling second BAC meeting for the next day, which ideally was for today. Now, unilateral and non-consultative ways were red flagged by some senior ministers. So all was not really well. So that is why we are saying perhaps there is more than what meets the eye as far as Mr. Jagdeep Dhankhar's resignation decision to suddenly resign is concerned, and refused to budge or reason when this was brought to his notice. And then, viewers, there was intervention that followed from the highest level of the government. This is what we've learned from sources. There was interventions that followed from the highest level of the government, and then Mr. Dhankar tendered his resignation. This is the inside story. Sources say, viewers, that this is perhaps the reason why there was this sudden resignation that came in. And joining us on the broadcast right now are my colleagues tracking this very, very closely, getting us this inside information. We have my colleague Pranesh joining us from the newsroom. Ravikant is live with us. My colleague Madhav is also live with us. Pragya as well as Niyamika join us live as well. Good afternoon to all of you. Pranesh, to you first. Now, this is sensational. Give us more details, because as we've been reporting since last night when this news first broke, that there is definitely more than what meets the eye here.
Hina, the sharpest political team in the business on Times Now is decoding the inside story for our viewers. Now, this late evening resignation, officially attributing it to health reasons, really led to a lot of speculation. It fueled speculation of a deeper political fallout. Now, there is some amount of truth to it, because the sources that we've spoken to have confirmed the sequence of events that you just read out. The day began on a routine note with the Vice President, who is also the Chairman of the Rajya Sabha, administering oath to the newly elected as also the nominated members of the Rajya Sabha. There was nothing amiss. Then, suddenly, the impeachment motion letter signed by 50 MPs from opposition gets accepted by Mr. Dhankar, and that is when alarm bells began ringing. We are being told that this, along with the move of Mr. Dhankar calling for the second business advisory committee, viewers would understand that there are ad hoc committees, there are standing committees, and this business advisory committee meeting is usually once a week to, for lack of a better word, to set the roster, so to say, for legislative business. This is a consultative process, but Mr. Dhankar, we are being told, did not consult, or the leader of the house was not consulted, the parliamentary affairs minister was not on board, and then it escalated. The nail in the coffin, so to say, was when all this was brought to the attention of Mr. Dhankar, and if he refused to even reason, and this led to a lot of consternation, and like you said, the highest levels of the government were involved, an intervention happens, and then Mr. Dhankar resigned. So this is the inside story that no other channel has put out. Our viewers are hearing this on Times Now.
Well, this is their destination to get the inside story as well as what's really happening in the political circles. Pranesh, stay on with us. Let me now go across to my colleague Ravikant as well. Ravikant, what have you picked up from your sources? Because last night it did come as a shock to everybody in the country at 9:25 p.m. when we got the news that the vice president, who was, in the Rajya Sabha in the morning, just like any other day in the parliament session, suddenly within hours decides to tender his resignation. आपके पास क्या और ताजा जानकारी है?
देखिए, कल सत्र और 11 बजे से लेकर 3 बजे तक सब स्टाफ रहा था। प्रेसिडेंट जो राज्यसभा के चेयरमैन है, उन्होंने हाउस की हिस्सा भी लिया और ऑपोजिशन के बहुत सारे मेंबर्स ने उनसे मुलाकात की। उन्होंने कांग्रेस प्रेसिडेंट खड़गे को भी किया।
Ravikant, apologies, we've got you on a bad line out there. We'll try and reconnect with you on the phone line and get more details from you. But let me go across to my colleague Madhav as well. Madhav, if you can explain to our viewers the sequence of events here, because things were absolutely normal. It was just another parliament session. The new members were being administered oath in the morning. Nobody really expected what happened at 9:25.
Well, a couple of things that our viewers would have to keep in mind. If anybody has been viewing the Rajya Sabha proceedings of the last 3 years, since Mr. Dhankar has become the Rajya Sabha chairman, by virtue of course, of his being the vice president, that's an ex-officio seat that he has to officiate in, and of course a very significant one when it comes to the legislative agenda as far as the government is concerned. He has come across very often as someone who's very mercurial and somebody who has been quite impulsive and emotional in the kind of decision-making processes. He's had many a run-in with the opposition as well. So this news really comes as a surprise given the kind of history that we've seen of Mr. Dhankar and his run-ins with opposition political parties. In this case, it appears that he had very different ideas from the government as to what should happen as far as the impeachment proceedings or as far as the motion itself is concerned when it comes to Justice Verma. Remember that the government had already made it very clear that it's going to push through this matter in the Lok Sabha, and therefore in the Rajya Sabha, the manner in which it was playing out is certainly something that the government did not expect. And normally there is a fair amount of coordination between the chair of both houses as well as the treasury benches, and BSC meetings are of course meant to do just that. It's meant to clear the air between the government and the opposition. But clearly the manner in which these BSC meetings were being carried out, 2 of them in a single day, which is rather unprecedented, and that too being carried out when there are key members of the government who are not part of it. The Parliamentary Affairs Minister, the Leader of the House, all of these are key representatives of the Treasury benches, and when they are not present at a BSC meeting, certainly, of course, that is bound to raise serious questions. Of course, Mr. JP Nadda has later clarified that he was not there due to prior engagements. But nevertheless, the manner in which things have played out, and even if you look at that sequence in which he is interacting, Mr. Dhankar is interacting with the MOS there, Mr. Arjun Ram Meghwal, it's quite clear that the government and Mr. Dhankar, while it appears on record, appear to be on the same page, but they are also taken rather by surprise as to the manner in which the proceedings have happened. And this is really something that did not go down very well with the government, because Mr. Dhankar and the manner in which he wanted to carry out the proceedings is certainly something that was not envisaged. And therefore, by the end of the day, we know the top level, a high level of the government itself, there were interventions that took place, and following which he tendered in his resignation. Of course, we do know that this is the only formality that is required. There's no formal, acceptance or any other aspects that need to take place. He just has to formally resign, and then that happens. But really, the manner in which it has played out has certainly sent a lot of shockwaves, a lot of surprise, clearly because of the past of Mr. Dhankar himself and the manner in which all of these proceedings are taking place on the very first day of the monsoon session.
Absolutely. Stay on with us, Madhav. Let me go across to my colleague Pragya as well. Pragya, I want you to tell our viewers, why would he do something like this? Why would he not consult the Parliamentary Affairs Minister or the Leader of the House? Why, several ministers were flagging this issue that he was being unilateral, non-consultative, really taking decisions on his own? Because it's not the first session of Parliament that we are talking about. And, why suddenly things changed?
Well, Hina, as Madhav rightly pointed out, he has a mercurial personality as well, but he also speaks his mind, and he is a legal luminary as well. And he also holds a constitutional position. Now, the government was in fact taken aback when Mr. Dhankar announced the formation, in fact announced that the MPs have signed the signatures and also submitted the motion of removal of Justice Verma. And this was very shocking for the government as well, because they believe that both the houses should bring this motion together in the houses. It was decided, and in fact it was discussed as well. Both houses should have done this, and government wanted that this would have given an impetus that it needed, because there is a gravitas when it is going to remove a sitting judge. And because of the situation, they wanted the both houses to take a call together on this. But when Mr. Dhankar said that he has received the signatures, and this was not just the acknowledgement, it also sort of acceptance also of the motion, when he said these are more than 50 MPs. This also triggered something in the government, and this was totally unacceptable. Many in the government believe that this was also overreached by the chair of upper house, and in fact they believe that this should not have been done in fact by vice president, and this was communicated to the vice president in fact. So this is this looks like one of the causes, and this is what many of the sources have told us, that this did not go down very well, because many of the BJP MPs didn't know about the signature. They were still doing their signature on the motion, and they have not submitted it to Mr. Dhankar. That means that the opposition MPs had moved that particular motion, in fact, and that was admitted by Mr. Dhankar. So all of that has gone, behind this, and this is probably the reason why Mr. Dhankar had resigned in the evening, and because he announced it at 4 o'clock, and there was nothing that had happened between 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. And this took the government by surprise. This is totally unacceptable by many of the top leadership, because they wanted it to be in both the houses. This is a historical moment for government also. They wanted to set an example against the corruption case, and they wanted to say that both the houses have brought it together, and there will be an action, and this will be seen through. This was the larger message that government wanted to send out to the people, and also not just the people, but to the judiciary as well. But Mr. Dhankar, might have thought that, let Rajya Sabha take a lead, is what many of the sources have told us. Which didn't go down very well with the top leadership.
Right. Stay on with us, Pragya. Let me go across to my colleague Niyamika as well. We have Mr. Shekhar Iyer, senior journalist, joining us on the broadcast too. Good afternoon, sir. I'll come to you in just a bit. Meanwhile, Niyamika, opposition also seems to be divided on this particular issue. Isn't it, Niyamika, that some people clearly believe that, of course, his health was a concern, so we should take that on face value. But there are many in the opposition also, especially from the Congress party, who are raising questions.
Yes, indeed. Many of the MPs of the Congress party have raised a question upon this sudden decision which has been taken by Mr. Jagdeep Dhankhar to resign from the position of the Vice President, as it was firstly being questioned by the General Secretary of the Congress party, who is also a Rajya Sabha MP, Mr. Jairam Ramesh, who has put out a tweet in which he has mentioned that how a BSc meeting...
I'm just interrupting you there. Please stay on with us. We have the first reaction coming in from the Prime Minister of this country on this particular big news. And Prime Minister Modi has put out a tweet, which you're going to see on your screens just now. There you can see, he said, and I'm quoting the Prime Minister here, he said, Shri Jagdeep Dhankhar ji has got many opportunities to serve our country in various capacities, including as the Vice President of India, wishing him good health. And there is the same thing written in Hindi as well. Shri Jagdeep Dhankhar ji को भारत के उपराष्ट्रपति सहित कई भूमिकाओं में देश की सेवा करने का अवसर मिला है. मैं उनके उत्तम स्वास्थ्य की कामना करता हूं. And viewers, this is the first reaction, in fact, that we have got for you from the Prime Minister. Let me go back to my colleagues who continue to be with us. Pranesh, this is the first reaction, in fact, that we've got from the Prime Minister. Okay, we'll go across to Pranesh in just a bit. Meanwhile, let me go across to Mr. Shekhar Iyer. Mr. Shekhar Iyer, first reaction there coming in from the Prime Minister. Your first thoughts, because we've got the inside story now, and there's definitely more than what meets the eye. But looking at what the Prime Minister has said, it looks like, you know, health was a concern. That's what the Prime Minister has also mentioned in his post just now.
Well, Hina, the Prime Minister has not said anything more than wishing him good health. That is also very significant. You know, he has not talked about his contribution or whether the government would miss him in Parliament. Nothing like that. It's a very, I would say, considering Prime Minister has been quite gracious in giving, farewell to people who resign or who have completed their term. But this particular message shows, rather indicates the factors that could have been responsible for Dhankar's exit. In the sense, the Prime Minister has just wished him good health and also noted the fact that Jagdeep Dhankhar had served in different capacities, including as the Vice President. I think this is very, very, I would say, if you consider what the Prime Minister has normally said on such occasion, this is a very, very simple statement. That's one. The second thing is, definitely the factors other than health has played a part in Dhankar's decision, as Times Now has just broken. The fact that the way in which the opposition motion was taken up, I think I would say, rather from the way it began, first, the leader of the opposition, Mallikarjun Kharge, being allowed to say a lot of things on Operation Sindoor and Pahalgam incident without the issue actually being taken up for a debate. Right in that stage itself, the chair allowed Kharge to say a lot of things which did not go down well with the government, because just before the session started, Prime Minister had sent out a message that Parliament should unitedly, appreciate the fact that India has achieved 100% success with Operation Sindoor. But Kharge took a different line in the House without a formal debate happening, straight away, attacking the government, questioning the Pahalgam incident, about the intelligence failure and so on, then which was later countered by JP Nadda in the House. That is one part. The second part is, we saw in the case of motion, taking up the opposition motion 1A. B, he also mentioned about the opposition motion of December 2024 regarding the Allahabad High Court Judge Shekhar Yadav. This is, there has been a back channel talk that the opposition would back the impeachment move to remove Justice Verma only if a similar motion which they had tabled way back in December against Shekhar Yadav for his pronouncements on Hindutva and all that is also taken up. So I think that would not have gone down well, because government has been against mixing up the impeachment issue of Justice Verma and the issues concerning Justice Shekhar Yadav. I think these all could be factors, but the fact that Dhankar himself realized that there is a growing difference in perception in how the upper house should conduct its business. That was coming out very clearly. And if you recall, Hina, there was also, again 6 months ago, Dhankar coming out very strongly against the government in the handling of the farmers' issue.
Yes.
At a function where Shivraj Singh Chauhan was also present, where Dhankar, happened to be speaking out of his heart that, farmers' issues have been getting neglected. The government has to clarify whether some promises were made regarding minimum support price earlier. Right. You know, those videos are doing the round today also. So obviously he had some differences in the way in which he felt the government was handling some issues.
But in your opinion, Mr. Shekhar Iyer, you understand how Parliament really functions. You've covered it as well. And can you explain to our viewers what could have really gone wrong? Why would he unilaterally take decisions? Why will he not consult Leader of the House in the Rajya Sabha and the Parliamentary Affairs Minister before, saying that there's going to be another BAC meeting? I mean, why would he do that suddenly? Because, he's never expressed these kind of traits during previous sessions of Parliament. I mean, he has been quite combative. He has been quite vocal on a number of issues. He's always spoken his heart out very passionately as well. But why would he do something like this?
Indeed, it is surprising. Why would he take up an issue without consulting, both the opposition and the treasury benches? See, normally the government is also consulted because the chair does not initiate any move in the House without consultation with the government and as well as opposition. And 6 months ago, Dhankar was about to face an impeachment proceedings moved by the opposition, which was finally rejected by the deputy chairman. But over the period, what has happened is there have been reports that he has been reaching out to opposition leaders, post that move by the opposition to impeach him. Of course, today the opposition sees a hero in him because he has resigned, but they were all along complaining that he was not fair to them, he was not impartial, etc., which Dhankar, of course, rejected. Now, we have seen that he has been meeting opposition leaders. I mean, nothing unusual about that. The chairman of upper house normally meets leaders of all the sides. But definitely, Dhankar somewhere felt that he needed to, dispel the impression that he's soft on the government, or he's close to the government, or he has a bias against opposition. Probably that was also playing on his mind. That is why probably when this session began, Dhankar appeared to be going out of his way to convey the message that he would definitely give them a lot of time to have their say.
Okay, stay on with us. Let me go back to my colleagues who continue to be with us at this point in time, Niyamika as well as Pragya. Pragya, now opposition, as Mr. Shekhar Iyer also mentioned, seems to be holding the government responsible for what happened with Mr. Jagdeep Dhankhar. Of course, they're not really looking at the inside story, the sequence of events that we are breaking for our viewers. But, the opposition that always has accused Mr. Dhankar of being quite biased towards the opposition and always favoring the government now seems to be rallying behind Mr. Dhankar.
Well, Hina, this is the perfect timing for the opposition to use shoulder of Mr. Dhankar and the resignation of the chair of upper house to target the government. And this is exactly what they have been doing and what they have, they are expected to do. Now they are using Mr. Dhankar himself and, showering praises on Mr. Dhankar, saying that he was equally treating both the opposition and both the ruling parties. And the BJP MPs, in fact, some of those who we have spoken to are quite amazed by the fact that this is the same opposition that has brought in impeachment motion against the chair at one point of time recently. So, all of that will play out and the politics is going to be played out in upper house because many of the opposition MPs are of the view that they can target and corner the government on this particular resignation. This come, as a abrupt and as a sudden move by Mr. Dhankar. And, everyone was wondering, and in fact, you are also wondering because Mr. Dhankar had cited the reason of health during his resignation. So everyone was also wondering why no tweet or no message from the Prime Minister, why no message from Mr. Amit Shah and also from Mr. JP Nadda. Now, I think the Prime Minister tweet has closed down this matter. It is a sort of a closure, I would say, that he has also wished him well. But it also shows that there is a time.
I'm just interrupting you there. Request you to stay on with us. We have a lot of political reactions as well coming in on the story. Let's listen in.
Very peculiar virus that's going around and it attacks only BJP people. And they had to find one Jat and one farmer. Only this community they had to target and make him resign. I don't think he's resigned voluntarily. He'll be told to say that.
What makes you think that, ma'am?
Because it's common sense. If you look, the Parliament notification has been given 25 days ago, approximately. We've come to session. Parliament functioned yesterday. And suddenly there is this fatal illness illness whereby he has. You mean to say there's no treatment for the illness that he has? What is this peculiar illness that comes only in the evening? So it's very strange, and we are not accepting
You
it.
think that you will be raising this question inside the house also?
Well, let's see who's running the house. Today we are headless. The Prime Minister is travelling outside the country, and we don't have a Vice President in his seat. So it's quite a peculiar situation. But then BJP is used to this kind of nonsense.
जो कारण दिया है उनकी हेल्थ का मैं मानने को तैयार नहीं। वो बहुत ही स्वस्थ आदमी है, खुश मिजाज आदमी है, वैसे मैदान छोड़ने वाले आदमी तो नहीं है। हमारे उनसे मतभेद हो सकते हैं, लेकिन मैं उनको जो देखता हूँ वो सहजता से मैदान छोड़ने वाली व्यक्ति नहीं है, वो लड़ने वाले आदमी है। नहीं, उनकी हेल्थ ठीक है, एकदम स्वस्थ है। कल दिन भर में उनको देख रहा था, ऑब्जर्व कर रहा था, परफेक्ट है। कुछ ना कुछ हो रहा है, जल्दी पता चलेगा। थैंक यू।
तो होगा ऐसे आपने कहा है, क्या हो सकता है?
बहुत कुछ हो सकता है ना सितंबर महीने में, आप देखिए ना।
इस्तीफा तो बहुत ही अचानक है और दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है, क्योंकि आज उन्होंने एक मीटिंग भी बुलाई थी बिजनेस एडवाइजरी कमेटी की, तो ये बहुत अचानक है और इसीलिए हम तो उनके अच्छे स्वास्थ्य की कामना करते ही हैं, लेकिन साफ साफ ये भी जानना चाहते हैं केंद्र सरकार से कि क्या पहले से उनके पास जानकारी थी, सूचना थी, और क्या उनकी तैयारी है कि देश को आगे ले जाने की। ऐसा लगता है कि पहले जो रिश्ता केंद्र सरकार और उपराष्ट्रपति जी के बीच में था, अब वैसा नहीं है। अब तक प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी से एक भी बयान या ट्वीट भी नहीं, और कल एक महत्वपूर्ण बिजनेस एडवाइजरी कमेटी के बैठक में केंद्र सरकार के मंत्री भी अनुपस्थित। तो क्यों आज उपराष्ट्रपति और केंद्र सरकार के बीच में, उनके रिश्ते के बीच में ऐसे सवाल उठाए जा रहे हैं, मुझे लगता है मुनासिब नहीं है। केंद्र सरकार को इस पर स्पष्टीकरण देना अनिवार्य है।
इस संदर्भ में श्री जयराम रमेश मुख्य सचेतक ने जो बयान दिया है वही कांग्रेस का अधिकृत बयान है। मेरे लिए चौंकाने वाला है और दुखद है। मैं सिर्फ एक आग्रह करूंगा महामहिम उपराष्ट्रपति से कि इस पर पुनर्विचार करें। ये किसानों के लिए, कृषकों के लिए एक मजबूत आवाज संसदीय पद पे बैठी हुई, उसका इस तरह त्यागपत्र देना संसदीय इतिहास के लिए